Folks, I want to do a quick video about the image that I put on my community page that you see on the screen right here. It got a lot of comments and opinions, so let's clear this out. First of all, 5 people said that there is too much line on the spool. That is wrong. This spool has exactly the right amount of line. Spools are designed to be filled to the edge of the lip. This here is the edge and this is the lip. If you fill it with any less line than up here to the lip, you will lose casting distance. You might be surprised, but I watch a lot of bass fishing YouTube channels. I really don't know why. But virtually all of them have a video where they tell you how to put line on the spool, and they always tell you to leave like 1/8 of an inch to the lip of the spool. This kind of negligence is not gonna work in ultralight fishing. You can get away with it in bass fishing because if you're lobbing a 1/4 ounce chunk of lead, it's much easier to overcome the resistance and the weight of the line. But if you want to get any kind of distance with a 1 gram jig, and sometimes even less, then you're gonna have to fill the spool, or at least keep it to no more than 1 millimeter under the edge. But okay, let's move on. Another comment said, top spool heavy, overspooled. Now, this guy was onto something. He did recognize some problem there, but he just misdiagnosed it. Indeed, if you look at the spool real close, you will see that there are a few extra wraps of line right there at the top of the spool, right next to the edge of the lip. However, this is not a result of too much line. And the way we know that is because at the same time we have a few extra wraps by the top of the spool, we also have this tiny little gap here at the bottom of the spool. But I will finish the video talking about this in just a minute. I do want to mention just one more thing before I end the video. One guy couldn't help it, as it always happens, and decided to mock the reel and said that this is a Shimano reel with Daiwa line lay. And I have to confirm that sadly he is correct. Even the $800 exist will have this exact shape of the line lay, just slightly concave in the middle. Actually, just FYI, Daiwa does have some carp reels sold in Europe that have perfectly flat line lay with the oscillation worm and everything, but they're sold only in Europe, okay, in Asia, but not in the United States. And anyway, we're talking about ultralight tackle here only. So his point, we have to admit, is correct. But the reason I brought up his comment is to give you a little tip here that if you want an ultralight reel with perfectly flat line lay, first of all, you're going to need Shimano, and second of all, the cheapest Shimano with perfectly flat line lay is the Ultegra. And then all reels higher than Ultegra will also have flat line lay. But if you go with the Miravel, as it's a very popular reel, only $10 less than the Ultegra, no more flat line lay. You're gonna get the Daiwa line lay. Alright, let's get back to our Sahara here. Most people correctly diagnose the issue that we need one extra thin shim here. One guy got really technical and suggested that we need between 0.2 millimeter and 0.4 millimeter. You know, it's funny, but when I replied to the person who sent me the email with this image, I suggested a shim of 0.3 millimeter. When you do this a few times, you start to get an eye for these things. But yeah, if you put a thin shim under this spool, this will move or shift the entire line lay just a little bit down the spool. And when we move all of this line just a little bit down, the first thing that this will do is it will close the gap at the bottom that we just discussed. And the second thing that this will do is it will remove precisely those few extra wraps on top of the spool. In this particular case, guys, I can personally guarantee that this will work. You know how I know? Because I have that same reel myself. And I had the exact same issue myself. And I added a small shim myself. And this is what it looks like now. Yeah, it's still not perfectly flat, but that's by design. There's nothing I can do about that. But you can see the gap at the bottom of the spool is gone and there is no extra line at the top.